Hello everyone and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and the time is for round 3 of Super Rugby Unlocked, and as sort of expected in many ways I suppose, and as sort of another sort of reminder of the current reality we find ourselves in, is that the Lions are currently in a bit of a COVID crisis with 4 players testing positive and 9 players in total across the squad currently in self-isolation. We're obviously making a massive impact on the squad ahead of this weekend. I mean, you look at their squad in particular focus given the fact that they've had all these issues, but just a general sort of preview of the weekend that comes. But I think that an interesting part that this sort of presents itself as, again, is that lots of people are calling for this sort of competition to become, the audition or a sort of like a qualification for which teams should be taken to Pro 14, Pro 16, or the new Sansa competition next year, and that we should use Super Rugby Unlocked and the Curry Cup to sort of as a benchmark of where South African teams are. But I think that this situation once again sort of emphasizes how, given that the situation is so unique, you can't do that. We can't take it as at face value, because, for example, there will be situations where teams could have 4, 5, 6 players who are perfectly fit in inverted commas. They can play, but might have COVID-19 or come in contact with COVID-19 patient, or not patient, but just person. Even if they are asymptomatic and therefore are not allowed to play. So it's a completely different situation, and you can't say it's the same as injuries, because it's not the same as injuries. Having a leg break is very different to being perfectly healthy, ready to play, but happen to have coffee with someone who then tests positive and therefore can't play. So these are the sort of situations which we find ourselves in, and I think it's a timely reminder that at the end of the day, we can't read too deeply into what's going to happen in this tournament. There will be players missing because of COVID-19, and the entire year has meant that this tournament is in many ways watered down, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way, in terms of players not playing their best rugby, not being particularly fit, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I think, and that's what I keep emphasizing, we just need to just take it as rugby back on our screens, don't look too deeply into it, just get to the end of January and then reassess. And before we go any further and get onto the sort of the individual teams, the matchups, and what to expect this weekend, please do consider subscribing. Bottom right hand corner, we really are trying to push to 200 before the end of the month, so we are running out of time. So please, show your love for the channel, show your love for your support. If you're excited for this weekend, smash the like, hit the subscribe button, and please do come and support the channel. So we're going to start with the first match, which is the Pumas versus the Stormers. Stormers obviously getting off to a win last week. They are missing 2 players in Scurry Ndebeni and Stephen Kitshoff, who have had to go into isolation following their sort of contact with one of the Lions players, and that's why there's sort of been this COVID crisis in the Lions, and we'll get more into it when we actually look at the Lions match itself. So the Stormers play the Pumas this weekend. So the big changes obviously are Leon Lyons comes into the squad ahead of Stephen Kitshoff, which apparently, according to John Dobson, was always the plan. Bongi Mbanambi still starts, but Chad Solomon comes onto the bench in place of Scurry Ndebeni. Looking across the squad, Chris Van Zyl gets a chance at lock, which sees JD Schickling on the bench. Apart from that, a relatively unchanged team. Sergio Peterson not available, so Edward van der Merwe comes in, and Hasner is on the bench with and Tristan Later is on non-travelling reserve, as is Tim Swirl. So, yeah, I mean, still a very strong Stormers squad. Still the likes of Bongi Mbanambi, Frans Malherbe, still got Sia Khaleesi, still got Joanna Augustus, still got Herschel Yankees, Damien Burmser, and still Warwick Lunt at the back. So a lot of experience there. The Pumas are relatively unchanged. Obviously, they got off there to a good win last weekend against the Griquas. So players to watch for them, particularly on the counter attack. Neil Moritz and Devin Williams were particularly lethal on the counter attack. Eddie Fisher had a very good game at flower half last week as well. And in the pack, look out for the likes of Peter Janssen-Van, who was very good. He will lead the side. He is the captain, as well as Jean-Andre Rudolph, who is also playing some very nice rugby. So an interesting matchup there. It is in Nelspruit. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock is the kickoff time, 7 o'clock South African Standard Time. And I think a chance for Stormers just a week later to put on a good performance, to play some good rugby. They were very open about the fact that they did not play particularly well against the Lions, and the Lions, in many ways, came up short and could have gone to win that game quite easily if they had been a bit more clinical. So the Stormers this weekend will need to sort of put that behind them and go out and put in a good performance. This is a chance for the Stormers to make a statement and to sort of put their hands up. And Sia Khaleesi talked about the fact that Stormers have always sort of underperformed as a side, especially in Super Rugby, and that now this is a chance for them to prove. So if they are to do that, then they're going to need to go and put in a really good performance. Saturday, the first game will see the Cheetahs take on the Lions. This is the first Lions home game. Cheetahs obviously flying high, obviously after their victory against the Bulls, and they have only one change in their team. Ruan Pienaar was initially what we thought ruled out for the rest of the season. He is optimistic that he might be able to make his return early next year. So the only change there sees Tian Meyer coming at scrum half for Ruan Pienaar. But apart from that, the usual suspects, Roscoe Speckman, Malcolm Young, Clayton Grommekeys have been very good on the counter attack. But the Cheetahs pack really stood out last week. The likes of the front row of Charles Murray, Rena Fenter, Luan de Bruin, and Sila Pukamela and Jasper Wiese were a very good loose trio. So the pack stood up last week and were very good. Obviously, Frans Steyn is so instrumental in that inside centre, just in terms of providing experience and physicality, really. And Tian Schoeman's looking very good at fly half. Kicked very nicely, looks quite assured. So it should be a fantastic match, even with the Lions being sort of quite hit. And so we're going to look at the Lions team specifically because of the COVID-19 crisis. We're going to look at what's happened. So if you look at the starting lineup, Ruben Schoeman comes in at lock. He did start last weekend because Willem Alberts is currently self-isolating. So the starting lineup doesn't change too much. MJ Pulser comes in for Jaco Kriel, not in the squad as well. And also the big change there is that Alton Jantjies is actually injured, so he's not self-isolating, he's just injured. And so Gianni Lombard gets his first start, but the rest of the back line, Similani comes in. So for Burger Odendaal, who is also self-isolating. So this is where it has been a crisis for the Lions, because you think that Jantjies and Burger Odendaal and Jaco Kriel are three of the most experienced, best players in the squad at the moment. Jantjies is playing some of his best rugby. Burger Odendaal looked really, really good last week. And Jaco Kriel was starting to find some form, and he is so important for the Lions. And so to missing all three of them is a massive, massive blow. Dan Kriel will captain the side in Alton Jantjies' absence. Obviously, Burger Odendaal and Jaco Kriel probably would have been your other choices, but they're going to have to make do with what they have got. So look, it's a tricky situation. Obviously, lots of big changes on the bench. PJ Botha comes in for reserve hooker. Nathan Mbeth is covering prop. Yanni du Plessis comes in. Willem van der Sluys, Marnus Schoeman, Ross Kinnear, Stian Pienaar, and Tian Swanepoel. So lots of changes on the bench as well. So having 9 players self-isolating doesn't really help. 4 players that do have test positive, 2 are symptomatic, but apparently on the mend. The Lions are obviously being very protective and won't release the official names. But you can work out that it's the likes of Odendaal. We know that it's Alberts. We know that we now know that Jaco Kriel is probably one of them as well. So a tricky situation, but not a bad team. I think they're gonna miss the experience of Jaco Kriel at 6, obviously without Jantjies, but a nice chance for Gianni Lombard to come in. He's very, very exciting, and a nice chance for Similani to get a chance. So you think of on the bench, the 2 most exciting players are probably Similani and Lombard. So if there were 2 players that had to come in and still hopefully keep the quality, it is those 2. So nice chance for them, but it is a big test for the Lions squad depth because they have been hit quite badly by the sort of this crisis. And then finally, the Bulls will take on the Sharks, who return to action after their bye. Bulls have named a very strong side. Not too many changes there. The usual suspects, James Vermeulen will captain it. Ivan van Zyl comes to the starting lineup. Morné Steyn a fly half. Curtly Arendse is back. Cornel Hendricks, Esteban Gans are the centers. Travis Ishmael and David Kriel complete the outside backs. Obviously, here Apollon ruled out for the season, which is a massive blow for the Bulls. But they really need to make a big statement. And I think, when you look at their loose trio, it is time for them stand up. And a big boost is Marcel van der Merwe comes into the team and gets his first game of the tournament. So a very experienced side for the Bulls. Trevor Nyakane on the bench, Arne Botha on the bench as well, which is Albert Low start. Imbros Papier on the bench. So Mark Jansen van Buren, who's a very young, exciting player who can cover a lot of different positions. So lots of experience coming off the bench and still quite a good side. Again, another opportunity for the Bulls to really make a statement. And they need to get a win tomorrow, this weekend, because they just managed to get past the Greek quiz. They came up short against the Cheetahs, and now they have to go and play against the Sharks, who were the formed side in Super Rugby and won the only game they played. They have also been massively boosted by the return of Spoon Corsi, who starts, as well as Jarpenk, who is coming from the EP Kings on loan. He obviously played in that Springbok Showdown game. So it's a very solid Shark side, and the only people that have come in are some very big names for them. So, the Kanye Amo captain the side, the usual suspects really playing. Oxen Cherry playing some very nice rugby. Sukan Bozanoche looking back, arguably one of the best number 8s in the country. Him and Dwayne Vermeulen are sort of leading from the front. So it's a very strong Shark squad against a Bull squad, which is also strong and has to make a statement. So, the pressure on the Bulls, I think Sharks will definitely be the favourites this weekend. But they are playing in Pretoria. There is always an altitude factor in it. So a big chance for the Bulls to, not get off with the win because they already won a game, but to try and make a statement and show that there is a bit of improvement and that there is, it wasn't just a case of signing all these players and nothing's happening because of it. So much at stake for all the different teams this weekend. Geekos have a bye. So jump in the comments. Let me know what you think of the team selections. Give me some predictions. What do you think is going to happen this weekend? What are you looking forward to the most? Let me know in the comments. Please, as always, do consider subscribing, smash a like, share the video, and let's try and grow the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully a fantastic week of rugby ahead.